Hello, here is the 6-step freelance sales process to close more deals and get more clients. Hey, this is Zach from W Freelancing, and in this video, I'm going to walk you through the 6-step freelancer sales process. This will be especially useful if you're a new freelancer and don't know how the whole process works, but even if you're seasoned, it's a nice refresher about the goals of each step. Note that this video is pulled from our Double Your Rates Toolkit, which is a collection of AI automations, time-saving tools, and insider secrets, spammy though that sounds, that $250 an hour freelancers have used to raise their rates, get more clients, and send awesome proposals. So if you want to check that out, it's at dyf.link/DYRT. But for now, let's jump in and you'll see probably different clothes while we go into this process. So the whole purpose of this video is to show you how to take someone from stranger to paying client. And it'll basically be the foundation that the rest of this toolkit or course or whatever builds on, because everything in here that we're doing plays a part in this process. So if you haven't downloaded the infographic cheat sheet, whatever I'm calling it, do that and put it somewhere you'll see it, because it's gonna be really helpful for you to just quickly reference. And I will pull it up here on my screen and we can kind of walk through it. All right, so I've got it pulled up here. Basically, this is what's often called a sales funnel or marketing funnel, and it's a pretty simple one. So these 6 phases are like at the simplest what a sales funnel would look like. And if you were to do more complex stuff, there might be more steps like in between different steps or after steps to get people to make smaller micro commitments. But the idea is that as you go from each step to the next one, the size of the pool of people is going to always get a little bit smaller. And we end up with somebody who is a client. These exact ratios of me chopping 2 people off each time isn't necessarily accurate, but it gets the point across. So where a lot of people get tripped up is they don't really know what they should be doing at a certain stage. And in general, so there's this expression that they say in copywriting, where it's basically like the goal of the subject line in an email is to get the email opened. The goal of the headline is to get the person to read the first sentence. The goal of the first sentence is to get them to read the next sentence. And so you think about each component as like having this discrete responsibility that's basically just to get you to the next component. And the sales process is similar. So when someone starts out, they basically start out as a stranger, assuming you're reaching out to somebody. Once you have all the strangers in the world and you decide which ones would maybe be good people for you to contact and you find a way to contact them, they become leads. So imagine you're on LinkedIn. LinkedIn has a bajillion people. But obviously someone who, I don't know, is like in charge of designing new dog toys at a dog toy company, and you're a web designer and they don't buy websites, they're not going to be a good lead for you. They're just one stranger among many. So you first decide who your ideal client profile is. And so now you would need to find those people, and then you would need to find out how to contact them. So let's say you're doing LinkedIn. The way you might find the person, let's say your ideal client profile is somebody who needs a website, and you define them as, I don't know, the head of marketing at a dog toy company. You could search LinkedIn, find people who are head of marketing. And nice thing about LinkedIn is you can just send them a message. So technically, they're now a lead. Each stage of the process, we have a goal and we have objections you'll need to overcome. So this chart shows you those things in a nice, easy to see way. So at the lead stage, we need to make contact with this person. And the objections are, well, you're a stranger. They don't know you, they don't like you, they don't trust you. You're just trying to sell them something and you're interrupting their life. If you're using a platform like, say, Upwork's sales cycle is a little bit different, because on Upwork, people are already leads, and I could argue, they're potentially even engaged leads to start. They haven't necessarily engaged with you, but they've engaged with the concept, because they've said, I want someone to do stuff for me. So at this point, you don't necessarily have to bridge such a wide gap to go from stranger to sales call. In Upwork, you can pretty much go from sending your first proposal to getting on a sales call. So keep in mind that depending on the marketing channels you're using, the platform, that kind of thing, the part of the process where somebody starts is going to be a little bit different. Or suppose you get a referral if somebody comes to you as a referral, they're somewhere in between like lead and engaged lead, because again, they already trust you. They already know about you because somebody told you about them, that kind of thing. So maybe in that case, they would start out as a lead always, but the size of this arrow, the work required for this arrow is smaller. Something like that. I don't know. Metaphor kind of falls apart. But in any case, the differentiation between lead and engaged lead is just, this is a person you can contact versus this is a person you have contacted who has replied and needs to be nudged to get on a sales call. So when someone's in the lead stage, the only goal of the lead stage is to get them to engage. So when you send like a cold outreach email to somebody or a cold outreach LinkedIn message, the only goal is to get them to reply, have a little bit of interest so you can talk further. So I guess the Upwork metaphor, they would still be a lead. When you send a proposal on Upwork, your only goal is to get them to reply and be interested. Once they do, they are an engaged lead. And at that point, your goal is to talk to them and to not just be living in their inbox. So at that point, with Upwork, the why should I prioritize this right now, that objection is not very strong. They're like putting out a job post. They've decided they're prioritizing this right now. But if you're cold outreaching to somebody on LinkedIn and you're interrupting them, they've not made that decision. So you need to show them why it's worth prioritizing over the bajillion other things on their plate and why it's urgent. Once you've got somebody on the phone, on a sales call or discovery call or whatever you want to call it, the goal is to simply see if you can help. If you can help and you can provide an ROI for them, then the goal is to close the deal and send the proposal. The reason I have closed the deal here, you'll learn more about in the sales module. I think where a lot of freelancers go wrong is that they trust their proposal to do the closing. But in my opinion, closing is best done when you're speaking to somebody live. The more that you can like close them before you send the proposal, and the more that the proposal is almost like a formality, the more you're going to close sales. So sales call, see if you can help, close the deal, send proposal. The objections are basically just, how will this service that you want to do for me get me to my goals, solve valuable problems, bring an ROI, all the stuff we talked about in the turbocharging module. Proposal, someone who's interested in working with you. Only goal, send them a compelling proposal. Don't just do the typical mistake, which we'll talk about in the proposals section, of sending a big old list of tasks and price tags. We want our proposal to be a persuasive document. And as I say, in the proposal section, we've got templates, training, all that stuff. So dig into that more. And then of course, where we end up is client. Goal, kick ass, get referrals, get repeat work. Objections from this stage are essentially just, how does it benefit me to actually refer you to someone else? And so that is kind of what we optimize from there, is getting clients to give us referrals, getting clients to hire us for repeat work, that kind of thing. And if you do a really good job, that's step 6, then step 6 results in leads in step 2. So you get this like 5-step cycle repeating itself, which is like gasoline on the fire if you're doing your own lead gen efforts, because you're getting leads coming in automatically and you're creating your own leads. And so it just compounds and compounds and the snowball rolls down the hill, all the metaphors. Freelancers who are good with their data will keep track of their conversion rates from each step to the next. And when you quote optimize a funnel, or you do what I do, like conversion rate optimization, usually what you're doing is you're optimizing some arrow in the funnel to make the percentage bigger. So in general, you would usually start at the top of the funnel. So not necessarily stranger to lead, but more like lead to engaged lead or engaged lead to sales call. What I do with my conversion wizard one, it would be like website visitor to lead. So that would kind of be this arrow. But it wouldn't quite be stranger. It would be something in the middle. It would be like step 1.5. That's why I said this is a simple funnel. But for now, I don't really want to focus on optimization. Just understand that you will always have more people at the top of your funnel than the bottom. So the top would be step 1, bottom would be step 6. And you want to be kind of paying attention to where people are falling off and looking at how you can optimize that number each step of the way. If you're in the Toolkit Plus or whatever I'm calling it, with all the extra examples and stuff, you'll get to see one of my clients, Eric from the One You Feed, you'll get to see each of my contact points going from stranger to lead to engaged lead to sales call to proposal to client. So be sure to keep an eye out for that and you'll get to kind of watch the transformation there. I guess the last little comment I'd like to make before we go is that in general, it is not efficient to skip steps. So for example, if you wanted to take somebody just from lead to proposal and not go engage lead, not go sales call, just go straight from lead to proposal, that would essentially be what's called a spam message, where you send an email and you say, hey, I have this thing, buy it. And that's your whole quote sales funnel. As a general rule of thumb, trying to skip steps, it'll always result in a net loss of conversions versus if you had gone step by step. And you see that with things like lead magnets. You see that with things like low ticket products. All of these things are like additional steps to help people take a small micro commitment forward to get kind of a taste and a feel for what it's like working with you, rather than asking too much too soon. So I guess you could think of each of these, it's like a first date, second date, third date kind of thing versus going, you know, you meet them on Tinder and then you propose to them or something like that. I don't know. So I'm sure these many metaphors were so helpful. So I will see you in the next lesson. So there you have it. Hopefully you found that process helpful. I find that stepping back and thinking about what's important for this phase can be really helpful when I'm writing a proposal, planning for a sales call, that kind of thing. If you want to check out the full Double Your Rates toolkit that this video came from, just a reminder that you can do that at dyf.link/DYRT. It's basically a bunch of AI prompts, templates, scripts, that kind of thing to get you more clients, higher rates, and do it as fast as possible. So thanks for being here, dyf.link/DYRT. And I'd love if you could leave a comment with what your #1 takeaway from this video was. See you in the next one.